My name is Eric Fisher,
And what are you doing in the field?
and I'm here primarily to study and collect robber flies, family Acylidae, which are a family of strictly predaceous flies. That is, they feed on other insects, including flies, but all kinds of flying insects. Well, I hope to find, possibly a couple of dozen different kinds of Acylidae. Um, so far it's been a little slow, but still we found some interesting ones here. Well, mainly I've been studying these flies for about um, almost 50 years, so I've gradually learned where their preferred habitats are, and so I check places like that. And in the tropics, generally the best places to look for robber flies are on bare twig tips of shrubs and trees, and especially on tops of leaves that maybe have a little bit of sunlight shining on them, because the robber flies and many other insects and many other flies really like to perch on sunlit leaves. And a few are on the trail, right on the dirt. And another real special habitat for me are fallen trees, because this one group of robber flies called Andrenosomatinae um, lives only on fallen trees. And that's a particularly rich group in the neotropics, and so I'm after those especially. Almost entirely with a net, out, searching and looking for until I spot a robber fly, and then just simply collect it. The best, really the only automated trapping system that I'm able to use is a malaise trap, which generally is pretty good for robber flies and very good for lots of other flies. It's one of our best. Uh, Surfeit just flew into the camera. It's really our best automated system of collecting. And actually, there is a malaise trap here in the background that I set up. Well, we've developed a list of characteristics that distinguish different genera and species of robber flies. Um, in general, you can look at wing venation first, and then maybe details of the antennae. Those are very important for the major groups of robber flies. But then sooner or later it comes down to looking at the genital segments of especially the males, which have complicated copulatory organs, and also the females have characters in their genitalia which are largely designed for laying eggs. Yeah, the really best place to look for robber flies in the tropics are the primary forests. That's where the scarce ones and the unusual ones occur. To a lesser extent, flies are also common in secondary growth forest, which has been cut and then regrown. But really, the rare and most interesting things are restricted to primary forest. That's something we've learned over the years, and that's always the best place. Well, the first thing is general, perching behavior, where they like to hang out. And some tropical robber flies are very specific. They have exact places they like to go, like a small twig tip at a certain height, 1 or 2 meters in a certain lighting condition, and you'll pretty much always find tropical robber fly in its proper habitat. So you learn those and look. But in general, my favorite place to look are on fallen trees for the andrenosomas. And they spend their entire lives on the tree, essentially. The larvae are in the tree in insect burrows, especially beetle burrows, where the robber fly larvae are predatory on the beetle larvae or certain other burrowing insects. And the adults are raised on the trees, and they sit and wait for prey from the trees, and they mate. They That's where they meet each other and mate and have the female is able to produce eggs and lay eggs sometimes on the same tree. And these Andrenosomas like freshly fallen trees within up to maybe 6 months old or so. They like trees with an intact bark and that are still open from emergent regrowing vegetation hasn't covered the tree. That's the important thing. So usually they're not on old decayed logs, the Andronosoma aren't. So that's really my favorite habitat, fallen trees.
Okay.
Well, first of all, over many years, I've developed a strong interest in that, so I'm drawn to them. But in general, flies have a significant portion of the biodiversity in any given system, tropical or non-tropical. And flies actually are very important to human society. They do many beneficial things like pollinate, or robber flies may kill off noxious insects. But they're a substantial part of the diversity, and entomologists feel compelled to study diversity generally.